Hey, Matt here, and welcome to Mob Street. Today I'm out here in the garage, and I wanted to show you something that I saw with the Bradley Performance rear disc brake kit that I installed on the TW. Now, this kit, is one that you can get from Bradley Performance, available for the TW200. I got it all on here, fits really well, and I tried to make a live video on here for you to show while I was in the process of it, but when I got this, I got the bracket on and I got the caliper going to get mounted. The brake line was in just like a real different position. Like it was sticking clear up here and just was not oriented the way that I was hoping that it would be. So what I did was I took my caliper off and I rotated it a couple times just to see, after getting my master cylinder mounted, which would give me the best positioning for the brake line right here. So I got it mounted up, and the orientation on the brake line kind of came out just a little bit over here and up against, our rear passenger pegs here. So what I did was, and this is something that you can do. Now, I want to tell you this, but at the same time, I got to tell you to be careful, because if you loosen this too much, it could be not good for your brakes. So each one of these, so your caliper has this right here on top of your brake hose fitting. This is called a banjo bolt. You've got a crush washer there and a crush washer there. And then on your master cylinder, your banjo bolt, you've got your brake line fitting right there, and then a crush washer and a crush washer. So the brake line, like I said, was in kind of a real funky position. I didn't like it all that much. So I lightly, ever so slightly loosened this 12 millimeter banjo bolt right here. Now if you do that, you can move this fitting right here, and you will not allow air to enter the system if you keep it, kind of snug, just loose enough to barely move this back and forth. And as you do that, that will allow your brake line to be positioned a little bit differently. So I did that to this one, and this fitting used to be right over here, so the brake line was coming this way and closer to the tire. So I slightly moved it over here, which allowed me to bring the brake line a little bit closer here to the foot peg. But then to really suck it into place, this fitting up here, this brake line fitting here, was actually positioned over here behind the master cylinder. So I loosened this bolt right here and moved that forward as much as I could. And that allowed that brake line to just tuck real nice and neat inside of there, up along the swing arm, to where it actually looks like it should have come that way from the factory. So I did use the included zip tie to put that right there on the brake rod mount that was right there on the swing arm. And it's holding it well so far, but there is an overall look of what that is like. So if you get your kit and that brake line isn't fitting the way that you want it to, don't call Bradley Performance and be like, hey, this isn't lining up right. You can, like I said, ever so slightly loosen those bolts, and then you can move that line one way or the other so that you can get a better positioning of the line, and it's not going to be kinked or just positioned real funny there on your swing arm up to the master cylinder. So do that before you do anything else with it, and just see if that will fix it for you. Now, some folks have said that you can get bleeder bolts here, so that if you need to bleed your brakes, which wouldn't be a bad idea, there's bleeder, they have a bleeder valve on top of there that you can use to bleed the brake system on here. One thing that I did notice so far right off the bat was there's no pivot here on the caliper. The caliper is just one solid piece. So there's no way to pull this off of the bracket without basically disconnecting right there, and then you've got this bolt down in here. So it's a little bit harder to just pull the caliper off and change the brake pads. On the back of it though, let me show you this right here. We were out riding in the rain, so she's a little dirty, but there are 2 bolts up there on the back of the caliper. You loosen those bolts and that will drop the pads out on this Bradley Performance kit. So I really don't know how often you'll have to change the brakes on these, but I mean, I've got what, 4,500 miles on this one, and you really couldn't even tell on my drum brakes that they were even wearing down. There was still a lot of pad life on there. Let's show you right here. You've got a lot of pad right there for your rear pads. And I mean, I took it out just a little bit on the road. I haven't done any real extensive riding with it just yet, but just being out there on the road and testing what I did, it stops it really well. So just wanted to give you that little bit of a tip or a trick there. If you're installing these and that brake line just kind of to seem a little squampus a bit, you can loosen those, like I said, ever so slightly, move that, you know, one way or the other to give you a better positioning on that rear cable, or excuse me, that rear brake line, and it'll actually pull it in real nice and tight, which I was really, really happy about. So just wanted to give you that little tip. And again, it won't allow air into the system if you just do it ever so slightly. So if there's questions or comments, please put those down below. If you're looking for the kit, I will put a link in the description of this video and also in the comments so that you can find it there. And then if there's any questions on it, feel free to give me a holler, you know, in the question section or the comment section, and we'll go from there. I'm Matt. This is Mob Street. Thanks for watching.